Joining me right now with reaction in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the Speaker of the House, Congressman Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Hey, Maria, great to be with you as always.
How does this change your plans this week in terms of voting on an aid package for Israel?
Well, we've understood the urgency of this from the very beginning. I mean, a few days after I became Speaker, way back in October, we passed our Israel support package. It's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk ever since because we included a pay-for, as you remember. What a concept we took from the IRS expansion slush fund to pay for the Israel priority. We tried it again just about a month and a half ago, a clean Israel. That many Democrats, 166 as I remember in the House, voted against. Why? Because President Joe Biden said that he would veto that. So the House Republicans and the Republican Party understand the necessity of standing with Israel. We are going to try again this week, and the details of that package are being put together right now. We're looking at the options and all these supplemental issues.
Well, the former president, President Trump, has talked about the possibility of turning aid for Ukraine into a loan. Is that what you're considering?
Yes, you know, I had a great visit with him at Mar-a-Lago on Friday, and he and I are 100% united on these big agenda items. And when you talk about aid to Ukraine, he's introduced the loan lease concept, which is a really important one that I think has a lot of consensus, as well as these other ideas, the Repo Act, which we've discussed, which is seizing the assets of corrupt Russian oligarchs to help pay for this resistance. I think these are ideas that I think can get consensus, and that's what we've been working through. We'll send our package, we'll put something together and send it to the Senate and get these obligations completed.
Are you expecting the Biden administration to respond to Iran's aggression?
We'll see what happens. Look, I do think that we showed resolve last night, thankfully. Many of us were concerned about that, to stand with our ally Israel. It's critically important to do that. We took down most of those drones and missiles, as you noted, and our other allies stepped up as well. What's important right now is that we stand with Israel. We should not be dictating to them what their policy is. We certainly shouldn't be doing what Chuck Schumer did, trying to suggest they should have new elections at this critical time. They're fighting for their very existence, and it's never been more important for us to be there with them, and we're resolved to do that. I hope that continues.
Understood. And this weekend, as you said, you were with President Trump. The former president had a public show of support for you and your agenda. Here's President Trump with you on Friday. Let's take a listen.
It's not an easy situation for any speaker. I think he's doing a very good job. He's doing about as good as you're going to do. And I'm sure that Marjorie understands that.
And, of course, he's referring to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has threatened to come up with the motion to vacate because she's upset that the Republicans have yet to secure the border. Here's the Georgia Congresswoman with me 2 weeks ago here.
If Speaker Johnson really wanted to secure the border like he promised all of us he would, and promise the American people, that he would have told Chuck Schumer, we will not pass any government funding bills until our border and funding bills have the H.R. 2 in it or the Laken-Riley Act, or at least some measures within them. But he didn't. He completely failed in that.
Mr. Speaker, why bring a bill to the floor to send money to Ukraine without having secured the border?
So, Maria, what Marjorie fails to notice is that we have been fighting on the border. We fight on it every day. We passed our comprehensive border security package, H.R. 2, at the very beginning of this Congress. It's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk. We passed all the resolutions. We passed these acts out of the House, and they get stopped in the Senate. See, the open borders Democrats control the Senate and the White House, obviously. So we've not been able to have a lawmaking exercise to meet that critical objective. But we're fighting every day. That's why we've been demanding that President Biden use his executive authority to seal that border. President Trump reiterated that demand at our press conference together on Friday. We need the White House to step up. In the meantime, Congress has to fulfill its obligations. If we had shut the government down, Maria, in that appropriations process, that would have been on us. Because remember, the White House controls the pain that's inflicted on the American people when the government shuts down. Imagine TSA agents not being paid and flights being canceled for Americans. Imagine Border Patrol agents not being paid. And those open borders, the responsibility for that being shifted to to us. Imagine troops not being paid at this dangerous time. So that simply wasn't an option for us. It would have reflected badly on us, and it would not have been helpful in our mission to keep and grow the House majority, win back the Senate, and win back the White House for President Trump so that we can save this country. That's what's at stake right now. And the party is 100% united on that agenda.
Is there any path to securing the border under Joe Biden?
Well, that's the thing. He has Section 212F authority under federal law. He has 7 or 8 different options under federal law, existing authority to do, frankly, what President Trump did. President Trump got control of that border because he was a strong leader. So we've been demanding of the White House in all of these negotiations to do your job, secure the border. Maria, you and I both know 9 million encounters officially at the southern border since Joe Biden took office. We got 2 million gotaways, 340 plus suspects on the terrorism watch list. We have violent criminals coming in. The actual number, we believe, is probably 16 million illegals have come into this country, and they did it intentionally. It's unacceptable. The Republicans in the House, the Republican Party, President Trump, and all of us are lockstep, united, fighting for border security. It's the #1 priority for the American people because our own national security begins at the border, and we're going to fight for it every single day.
Did you speak with President Trump privately about what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing?
I spent hours with the president on Friday. He and I talk frequently, many times, usually in a week. We have a long relationship. He's 100% with me, and he said, we'll get this job done. That's a distraction. What Marjorie's done with the motion to vacate is not helpful for our party, for our mission to save the country, because if we don't grow the House majority, keep the House majority, win the Senate, and win back the White House for President Trump, we're going to lose the republic. You know, Maria, we often say the next election cycle is the most important one in our lifetime. Everyone knows this is for all the marbles. People are fed up. The American people are fed up. President Biden's open borders with his inflation and the cost of living and the out-of-control spending, the weakness on the world stage and the weaponization of the government, we have to stop it. What we need to do right now, and we will be, our party needs to stay united. We need to go out and tell the American people how we'll be different. Not just what we're against, but what we're for. What our agenda is going to be and how we're going to turn this country around. I'm absolutely bullish on the election cycle. I think we're going to do that. Speaker,
you said that President Trump is with you 100%. Is he also with you on FISA? Because they spied on his campaign. He posted, do not reauthorize FISA. I want to get your take on this surveillance tool because you said you changed your mind on attaching an amendment which included a warrant needed to spy on American citizens. You said you changed your mind after getting a classified briefing. Can you tell us what changed your mind in terms of an amendment where you need a warrant to spy on Americans?
Yeah, the president and I agree on the necessity of the uses of FISA. Remember, that's how we kill terrorists. That's how we stop terrorist plots on U.S. soil. That's why we haven't had another 9/11 since that terrible tragedy. President Trump used it, and he reauthorized it in 2018 for 6 years, and that's why it's up again. What we did was we changed the bill to fit his requirements and ours, and that is that it would expire now 2 years from now in the middle of his next administration, so he's the one that gets to determine if it's working well. It's a critical tool to stop terrorism. The whole point of the law is that we surveil foreign persons, foreign terrorists. But the reason the warrant requirement is not helpful, and the reason that people that we love and respect, like Mike Pompeo and John Ratcliffe and Robert O'Brien and Devin Nunes, who've been in the intelligence community, and our guys, our conservatives, who came off Judiciary Committee, a couple of them, they said you can't put the warrant on this. Here's what happens. Quick scenarios. This is important for people to understand, Maria. If we're surveilling a terrorist in the Middle East, and the terrorist sends an email to a guy named John Smith in Anytown, USA, and the email says, the components will be delivered to your house this afternoon for further assembly and delivery to the high school stadium during the game. Okay? I think every American would want the analyst who saw that email from that foreign terrorist to do a query of the other communications between those two persons. That is not unlawful, and that must continue. If that analyst had to get a warrant before that, it would add a huge time delay. The courts are not set up to be able to handle all that volume, and Americans may die. We want to look at those emails and find out, my goodness, which high school stadium, what time, and is this a bomb, and what are the components? We have to continue that to save American lives. That's what's at stake. This is not searches on American citizens. If they were going to search John Smith, they would have to go get a warrant
right.
to do anything else. But this is lawfully collected data under Section 702, and it must continue.
So real quick before you go, you talked with President Trump on Friday about ensuring a transparent and safe election. You talked about the SAVE Act, where you want to ensure that illegals are not voting in this election. Do you have any evidence that the Democrats are pushing for illegals to vote in this election?
Well, listen, some of them have admitted it to us, even on record in Judiciary Committee hearings, that they want illegals to vote. They've allowed it in some municipal elections. What Congress has control over is federal elections. We have to do every single thing we can to secure that our elections are free and fair. And one thing we need to do, and this is what we're about to, the House Republicans are about to enter legislation into the record that will ensure that no illegal can vote in a federal election. You have to prove you're a citizen instead of, as the law currently states, just checking a box to say it. Maria, we have so many illegals in the country. They could tilt the election if this happened. If just 1 in 100 illegals decided to vote in a federal election, it could swing congressional races, and it might even swing presidential election. You could talk about hundreds of thousands of votes potentially. Right. So we have to do everything possible to make sure that this election is secure. It's a #1 priority of the American people.
Mr. Speaker, thanks very much for being here this morning. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
House Speaker Mike Johnson joining us. Thank you.